All right, welcome in to our week 2 results. We're going to talk about how everybody's been doing. We have been focusing on, for the last week, trying to get to that low carb place, right? Getting carbs down, focusing on the movement, right? Getting 10 to 15 minutes of movement, preferably after the evening meal. Also, maybe in the morning if you have the energy and time for it. We would love to see you doing both. Getting in movement as much as you can, getting in good food as much as you can. No problem, Terry. If you're someone who's fallen off the wagon, couldn't do it because you've had something going on. You've only been 50-50 in. That's no problem, guys. This is progress over perfection. The goal is to do your best. Okay. Do your best. Challenge yourself a little bit. That's the whole goal of this. This is a challenge. So you're challenging yourself with some longer fasts. You're challenging yourself with maybe some new food. You're challenging yourself by counting the carbs in your meal so you know exactly what you're consuming. That's what this is about. Challenging yourself to get the movement in. If you're someone who doesn't exercise, we're not saying you got to get a gym membership. We're just saying do some squats, try a plank, go for some walks, do some simple things to get your body moving. You will realize that it will lift your spirits, it'll get your energy up, and it'll get your insulin levels down. And that's exactly where we want to be. So I did write a little presentation for you guys for tonight to talk about what we're going to be doing next week and why, because I want you to fully understand the concept of why we're trying to get this metabolic flexibility going, how we're going to do that with carbs up, carbs down, that kind of thing, and why it's so important. So I'm going to go straight into screen sharing mode. While I'm in screen sharing mode, just a reminder, I cannot see your comments. That doesn't mean your comments don't matter. Put stuff in the comments, put stuff in the chat, and as soon as the presentation section is over, I'll come right back to that chat and answer any questions you have. So if you have questions while I'm talking, type them in, okay? Type them in. So let's see here. I'm going to share my screen for you. Mike, if for any reason you cannot see my screen, holler at me because you should be able to see my presentation. All right. You guys will notice my face on this post. This is the carnivore section of our challenge. And I'm making this face because I, like so many people that I know, are not huge meat eaters. I am not sit down and just have a steak every night kind of gal. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. I'm a big veggie person. So I want to really explain to you the science behind why it's important to sometimes go low carb, sometimes flex into having more carbohydrates, and sometimes give your gut a little break from the fruits and vegetables and go carnivore. Okay, so stick with me here, even if you're not a big meat person. Now, the reason why carnivore can be so absolutely wonderful and beneficial to the body and why you see so many influencers going full on carnivore is because of this. Lectins, vegetables, and carnivore days can be very, very, very powerful. Lectins are plant defense proteins. They are found in vegetables, grains, and legumes. Plants can't run from predators. So over time, they have created lectins. It's kind of like, it's not poison to the body, but it's something that basically can build up in the body and form a type of toxicity so that if you overeat a certain plant, historically, if animals overate a certain kind of plant, it would make them feel nauseous and make them feel sick and make them feel tired. So that's where lectins came from. The plants that had the lectins survived because they didn't get overeaten by predators, whether those are animals or humans. So lectins are a vegetable or a fruit's natural chemical shield. So if you're talking about, well, what the heck does a lectin do for the body? Yeah, it's protecting the plants, but what's it going to do for me? From the human perspective, lectins can bind to the gut lining. They can interfere with nutrient absorption, and in very sensitive people, they can cause leaky gut. They can also trigger an immune response and some inflammation. Now, it doesn't mean that lectins are bad. I don't want to put them in the category, don't eat fruits, don't eat vegetables, because that's not where we're going with this. But lectins can be a problem when your gut health is already a hot mess. If your gut is compromised, if you have leaky gut, if you have reflux, if you have IBS, if you have Crohn's, if you have, when you eat certain foods, you get diarrhea or loose stools, okay, you may have a very inflamed gut. And if so, flexing out of fruits and vegetables and going straight into carnivore may be a very good option for you. This is why we're presenting this. It can be problematic. These lectins can be problematic when your gut health is a mess. So if you're highly insulin resistant, autoimmune issues, perimenopause, metabolic syndrome, basically anything that gives a high stress load to the gut can be further stressed by lectins. So there are high lectin and low lectin vegetables. Now it's very similar, you will notice, to the high carb, low carb listing. So higher lectin foods, when they are raw or barely cooked, like almost raw or undercooked, can be hard on the gut. This considers like your beans, grains, your nightshade veggies, which is like your tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, potatoes, corn, squash, and certain seeds. These can all, when you eat them raw or when you eat them undercooked, can be inflammatory to the gut of someone already in an inflamed state. Now, if you're super healthy, you've been fasting for years, you're not on any medication, you're doing phenomenal, lectins are probably not a problem for you. I'm just going to be honest, okay? But for some of us in a high stress or high inflammatory environment, kicking the lectins to the curb for a certain amount of time can actually take down an intense amount of inflammation. So, little side note on here, preparation matters. So if you soak your high lectin foods, if you pressure cook them, if you ferment them, or thoroughly cook the vegetable till soft, it will dramatically reduce the amount of lectins that you're taking in, okay? So even with these high lectin foods, if you're cooking them thoroughly, most likely you're not getting a high lectin load. This is just for your information and to help you understand that sometimes the undercooked or raw foods can really also be inflammatory in the gut, even when it's a healthy food, right? A veggie. Now, the lower lectin vegetables, these are better tolerated with people with an inflamed gut. Your leafy greens, like my favorite arugula, your cruciferous vegetables, I talk about broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, all those. We talk about those all the time. Zucchini, asparagus, mushrooms, and the fermented veggies like your sauerkraut and your kimchi. Much lower in lectin content, okay? So less inflammatory to the gut. And you will notice a lot of these are more of your lower carb veggies as well. They kind of go hand in hand. So also a reminder on this, it doesn't mean lectins are bad for everyone, but they can be problematic to some people if their gut health is already compromised. This is why we're kind of diving deep into this. So the benefit of going carnivore, and I'm not talking about carnivore every day for the rest of your life. I'm talking about we're doing a week-long challenge. The benefits of carnivore is you're getting in 0 lectins, okay? Meat, eggs, and animal fat do not contain lectins. This allows your gut to have a better immune response, less inflammation that can be caused by this specific plant protein. You get some gut healing. It's a reduced digestive workload. The fruits and vegetables can actually causes a lot of energy. It takes your gut a lot of energy to break those down. So it's less of a digestive workload on your body and allows the inflammation to come down in the intestines a bit. It's also good for leaky gut, bloating, reflux, IBS type of symptoms. It also helps with your blood sugar stability. Okay, if you're consuming meat, you're not consuming carbs. So it's going to eliminate the glucose spikes. The insulin demand is going to go down. Insulin sensitivity improves. Hormone support, especially for women, it's providing the wonderful cholesterol and amino acids your body needs to produce hormones. For us ladies, this is really important. Without cholesterol, without the amino acids that we get from protein, we can't make the estrogen and progesterone that our body craves and needs. It can also often help us with sleep, mood, and that feeling of fullness. It also helps with food sensitivity reset. Why? Believe it or not, there is a lot of dairy and a lot of vegetables that are inflammatory to some people, and they don't even know it because they're constantly eating it. And by giving your body a little break from that, and then we reintroduce the vegetables kind of one at a time, guess what can happen? You find out what foods cause you bloating, cause you digestive issues, and which ones don't. So this can be a wonderful tool. And so after those carnivore days, we can go into finding those triggers. All right. Huge disclaimer, guys. I'm not anti-vegetable. All right. I am not telling you don't ever eat vegetables and fruit again. You need to be a carnivore. You need to go full on carnivore because there are so many wonderful vitamins, nutrients, electrolytes that you can get from fruits and vegetables that you cannot get from meat. That's why I never tell people I just want to go carnivore. Everybody should be carnivore because you miss on some of the wonderful prebiotics that can also benefit your immune system in other ways. So we're not eliminating the fruits and vegetables for the rest of our lives. We're just giving our body a break and then hopefully reintroducing a little slower so we can figure out what vegetables are really good and our body digests well and which don't. So we're removing some things that may irritate the body. And I want you to think about it. Our fruits, our vegetables are all sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff. Unless you're growing it in your own home and you know exactly what's on those plants, this is also giving your body a break from all of that. Helps heal the gut, restores that sensitivity, and then we'll reintroduce those vegetables intentionally. That's the best way to do it. Again, progress over perfection, or progress over perfection here, guys. You don't have to be perfect at this. If you absolutely can't go carnivore-ish. Try to do the best that you can to get low lectin, fully cooked vegetables in your life and mostly meat. So after this challenge, not talking about just this week, because we're going to try to do this for 7 days. But after this, people usually flex into doing some carnivore days 1 to 3 days a week to help take down inflammation. They focus on some low lectin veggie days, or seasonally or cyclically, they'll add like a week of carnivore in from time to time to help with all of these detoxing. Also, of course, you can listen to your biofeedback from your body. If you're really low energy, your digestion seems out of whack, you're super bloated, maybe it's time we cut veggies for a few days and focus on a little carnivore. This is something you can flex in and out of. It can also help with sleep and inflammation. So in our food challenge starting tomorrow, we're going to try to go as carnivore as we can. So the 15th to the 21st of January, which is our week 3, our guidelines are, let's try to focus on being carnivore, 20 and 4 fasting, meaning 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating. If this sounds crazy and a stretch to you, don't worry. Progress over perfection. For some of our people who've been doing this for a while, they're like, no problem, I got this. For some of you newer people, this may seem very daunting. Don't let it stress you out, okay? We'll work with you to find the solutions that work best for you. This is just what we're trying to do as a challenge. So 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating. In those 4 hours, you want to have 2 carnivore meals, meats, eggs, light on the dairy, but you can consume some dairy. So a little bit more I want to talk about is meat. The best, most high quality meat is going to be your fatty cuts of red meat, things like ribeye and marbled steaks. Because they're 0 carb, they're very filling, and they really help you get into ketosis, right? They're anti-inflammatory. Red meat is just chock full of amino acids, and your leucine, and that fat helps with ketosis. It's just a great combination. Grass-fed, pasture-raised meats as much as possible. Try to stay clean with your meat if you can. Wild caught is great. Pasture raised is great. That's ideal quality. And when we're talking about animal-based proteins, red meat is kind of a core focus, but you can still have poultry. You can still have your chicken, your turkey, all that stuff. Seafood is great. Wild caught is the best. Organ meats are absolutely wonderful. As long as they're clean sourced, you're good to go. Deli meat is okay. Try to stay nitrite free or no added nitrites. Much, much better for you. Less chemicals that you're taking into the body. And then when we talk about seafood, wild caught if at all possible, because farmed animals, farmed fish can also usually be less nutrient dense and have less healthy fats in them. So you're not getting as much of the omegas or the nutrition when you're getting the farmed fish. Now, the worst meats to consume. And this is for the people who are really going all in. Best meats, worst meats. Worst meats would be your factory farmed chicken and pork. You know, the stuff that doesn't say antibiotic free on it. Deli meats that have the nitrites and nitrates in them when you look in the packaging. processed meats that are highly, like the pepperoni, the hot dogs, those kind of things, sausages. They often contain extra sugar in them and preservatives. So just look at your labels. And those can be very inflammatory. And then farm salmon is lower quality, like we said before. So, what foods do you want to focus on? As much as possible, eat eggs, eat meat. Dairy is okay. I'm not saying don't eat dairy, but dairy can also be inflammatory to some people. So if you're really going all in and really, really focusing on 1 week of really low inflamed food, for dairy, have the butter, have the ghee, and do hard cheeses like cheddar and Parmesan instead of the softer cheeses like Colby Jack and those kind of things that are like the softer to touch cheese. The hard cheeses are actually much better and less inflammation. And if you're going to have cream, full fat cream, not low fat cream. Avoid milk if you can. Milk is typically high in sugar, guys, and is usually very inflammatory and full of lactose that can be really inflammatory and stimulate the inflammation system for so many people. It's like over 40% of people can't tolerate lactose. So you never know if you're one of them until you give it a little break, a week without it. Avoid yogurt and the soft cheeses also because of the high lactose. Lactose is just inflammatory. And then, of course, we're still avoiding the carbs, guys. We're avoiding the carbs. We're avoiding the sugar. So we're not eating, we're carnivore. So obviously we're not doing the pasta and the processed food. But also look at your sauces and your seasonings that you're putting on your meat. We don't want to use ketchup and barbecue sauce and stuff that's full of carbs and full of sugar. That's destroying all your progress, right? So just look at your labels of what the sauces you're going to use. Usually if it's a seasoning packet, if it's got 1 gram of sugar or 1 gram of carb or something, guys, that's not the end of the world, okay? But really look at it. Sometimes you'd be surprised. Some of those little seasoning packets can have a bunch of sugar in them, and you don't want to be adding that to your food. All right. So I know we can do this. If for some reason you're someone who doesn't eat meat because of religious reasons, that's okay. Focus on protein. Focus on the protein you can eat, okay? For those of you who do not have religious reasons for not eating meat, I want you to try more meat this week. I really, really want you to focus on it. I have people reach out all the time. They're like, Jen, I'm just not into meat. I'm not a meat eater. I don't really like it. Let's this is a challenge, guys. Let's put forth that effort. Try to at least have 1 full carnivore meal a day. You can do this. Try something new this week. Learn to love meat, right? This was a tough one for me too. When I started going into the lower carb lifestyle, is it required more protein. And I'm not a huge meat eater, and I'm learning to love meat and learn how to season meat. This is the hard, cold truth. If you like meat when you go out to eat at a restaurant, if you like the steak, if you like the chicken, if you like the pork chop at the restaurant, but when you come home you don't like it, the truth is you just don't know how to cook your meat. You just don't know how to season your meat, and that's something you can learn to do, myself included, right? I'm always the person who wants to go out and have a beautiful steak at a restaurant, but I come home and I'm like, oh, it doesn't taste the same at home. Well, it doesn't taste the same at home because I'm just not an excellent cook. The more I learn and the more recipes I look at and the more I dive into how to cook the right steak, I've been making more and more steaks lately and starting to love them. So it's all about learning, and this is challenging ourselves, guys. So bring your meat cooking tips to the group. Bring your recipes to the group. How do you season stuff? What are you putting on your plate? Bring all of that to the group. Let's talk about it. Let's share some stuff together and let's motivate and inspire each other. We can absolutely, positively do this. Now, all right, I'm going to come back into the Zoom meeting so I can answer some questions and we can see how everybody is doing. All right, friends. Now,